And we are recording with Mr. Ron Moeller on Sunday, April 23rd, 2023. I just had a brain fart. Sunday, April 23rd, 2023 at 3:37 p.m. Eastern time. Just had on Rick Prado and a couple weeks ago had on Joe Tedai. And for everyone that doesn't know, I'm trying to put together whatever stories I can of people that worked with or got to at least meet Billy Waugh, who passed away a couple weeks ago at age 93. And I figure I'm in a position where I do, I document things on video for a living. And I've met several individuals who know Mr. Waugh. And on top of thinking it's a cool thing to do, I also kind of feel like it's the right thing to do. And also, as someone that just loves history, like it's so cool when you find. I found a video of Eisenhower speaking like the other week that I'd never seen before. I'm like, that was the coolest fucking thing. I love Eisenhower, and I can only imagine that in 50 years there'll be someone who's just reading about the legend of Billy Waugh, and maybe I can put together some, secondhand interviews of people that met him. And I think it's the very least that I can do for a giant like Billy Waugh. But Mr. Ron Mueller, whose Twitter's in the description, go follow him, go give him some love. Don't make me look like a fucking idiot. Ron, please introduce yourself.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Ron Moeller. I'm here because all the tier one folks are busy doing real stuff. So I'm tier bottom, and I'm happy to talk about my few remembrances of Mr. Billy Waugh.
You are tier number one in my heart. Don't you ever forget that, Ron.
Stop.
You're number
No,
one.
no Hallmark moments here, dude.
Hey, this is real. This is coming from the heart. Ron's number one in my heart. Um, but yeah, because obviously I only know what I've read about him, and so I'm kind of just collecting the things I. It's funny. Most of the guys I've asked, I'm like, "Can you tell me what you know about Billy?" And they're like, "Yeah, I can't. That's classified." I'm like, "Can you just make something up?" And they're like, "All right, I'll come on and talk about having a beer." I'm like, "You don't need to tell me about the time you guys had like some president in the crosshairs. Just make something up." Like so, I don't even know if these interviews are accurate. I might just be putting together horse shit. But yeah, what do you got, Ron?
Well, I only met Billy once or twice. I've been trying to rack my brain. I mean, he did give me his business card, and so I always thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's one of those. It's better than a coin,
Hell yeah.
because it's Billy Waugh.
Yeah.
But anyways, the I met Billy you know in the early days of the Afghan conflict, and he was um, he was doing counter surveillance for the uh, the guys going out from the station there in Kabul. And of course, I was running back and forth from the station to the airfield, trying to run air operations for the agency, and it turned out also for the U.S. Embassy and a whole host of other Sweeney Johnsons that say, "Hey, these are the only guys really flying in and out of Kabul." Um, but one night, Billy, he just sort of, I don't know, saw I was getting a little stressed, and because I'm running a 24/7 air operation, rotary at night, fixed wing during the day, and hey, sleep, forget that. And but Billy kind of pulled me aside, and just kind of gave me a, the old sergeant major boot up the ass, but in a way that I'm not, I'm not some 18-year-old private, but an inspirational talk about, we're out here doing God's work, we're doing the right thing, and so he's talking to me, but by the time the conversation's over, the crowd around us is pretty there's a lot of folks,
Yeah.
and you could have heard a pin drop, and because Billy came to us, came to Kabul. He's like what, 72, 73 years old. I mean, and yeah, but he's a freaking legend. And even the most jaded of the old time, ground branchers and other assorted agency personnel that were there, they were in awe of him. And Billy's no big guy. I mean, I'm 6'2", but Billy's a little shorter than that. But still, he was definitely the big guy in the room. Uh, the people that were the most annoying about it were the the new kids that had been hired by the agency and or just had come on just prior to 9/11. And they were like, who the fuck is this old guy? What the hell's he doing? And get out of my way. No, 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 no. So anyway, but Billy was he was polite, and but he did his job, and in the counter surveillance role, Billy was just excellent because The man had eyes in the back of his head, and had a great sense of street smarts and lots of experience. And and he would relay that experience to you without making you feel small or belittling you, or making himself out to be some sort of omnipotent, uh, you know, un you know you know in a unfallible type of guy.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it was. I mean, he was real, and he was the real deal. And as I listened to your earlier interview with Rick, um, and yeah. I mean, Billy never liked to talk about Billy, and you really had to peel back the onions and the layers and stuff like that. And I was reminded, and I was kind of refreshing my memory. Um, I don't know if you're aware of this book. I can,
Surprise kill event. Yeah, I've read it a couple
yeah,
times.
okay,
That's how I
yeah, all
first
right, all
learned
right.
about Bill. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's about 70% true.
Okay.
I'll just say that.
Okay.
Because when this was written, a lot of stuff couldn't come out. So some of the other stuff's come out now. So you got to take it with, like,
Yeah.
okay, this information is now updated and stuff like
Yeah.
this. But with regards to Afghanistan and Iraq and things like that. But yeah, no, Billy was a great person. He made you feel, um, you know, oh, like you were part of the team. And I always appreciate that, because I did not come from, like Rick, from the pararescue world.
Yeah.
I'm not a Delta guy. I'm not a SEAL
Yeah.
Team 6 guy. Hell, I'm not even a Tadpole 1 guy. I mean, I'm a,
You're you're
I'm
Ron.
just, I'm just an air branch guy.
I'm
You
Ron.
know, I'm Ron. That's right. I'm like Bob in
Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
I'm the guy, and I'm Bob, baby on board. And
Delta, Dev Grew, Ron.
yeah,
Hey guys.
yeah, pretty close. And actually, that happened a few times. But so, yeah, but Billy always made you feel like, no, you were just as important as everybody else, because everybody had an important role to play, as long as you stood up to the plate and did your role, instead of like, oh, I can't do anything, and react, and just kind of melt under pressure type of thing. But like I said, I was getting pretty stressed, and Billy kind of gave me a little motivational talk, and I never forgot that. And even though I did get stressed in the future at other deployments and things like, which is natural, everybody
Mhm.
does, I always remembered, what the inspiration that Billy gave me. So
Um,
that's my memory.
and a guy like that probably isn't kissing your ass and making you feel like part of the team. I would imagine that's someone that truly believes everyone there is there for a reason. He's not just kissing your ass. It's someone that truly understands the entire system. If you understand the entire system, if you're running a corporation, you're not just kissing the ass. If you're talking to some, pimple-faced kid at the grocery store, but you're the CEO, you're like, no, like you work at the cashier, like you are the point of transaction. You're where the magic happens. They give us the money. You're probably not kissing ass. You genuinely believe what you're saying. So I'd imagine someone
Right.
like that, right? Because you could do that. You could look at someone and be like, this guy's retarded, but like I'm gonna try to make him feel better. I would imagine someone like Billy probably isn't blowing kisses for the sake of blowing kisses. I would imagine that he genuinely meant what he said, and that's probably
Well,
going
he
to
did.
carry some weight.
No, I mean, you could tell. I mean, I wasn't a total naive little young case officer. I mean, I've been a case officer, gosh, blah, 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 not quite 14 years.
Yeah,
The time 9/11
sure,
happened. So,
sure.
fuck,
Yeah, you're not.
I
Yeah,
can I can tell, like, I can see you right now that you're like, oh shit, I got to spend an hour with this guy now. Oh man, I can't believe it. See,
Ron,
number one in your heart and mind.
Ron never has any confidence. I bring him on here for like the 15th time, and he's like, "I know
I
you don't
always
want
have
to talk."
confidence. I just want to keep your expectations real.
I don't.
So,
The biggest compliment I can ever give anyone is inviting you on the show.
and I
This
appreciate that.
this podcast is a dictatorship. As much as I love the United States, this podcast is not representative. There is taxation without any representation. No one gets to say it. There's no focus groups. I don't read the comments. There's no feedback. I have on who I want to have on, and if it just so happens that the podcast works out, it works out. I don't
Yeah.
give Iron Fist. I
No,
am.
it's all good. I'm just pulling your
I
chain,
know.
but
I know.
no, I mean, but Billy was the kind, like I said, Billy was the kind of guy that could inspire you with, his patriotism, his dedication to duty, his sense of, let's go out there and do the mission. And that was important. And I and I think in some ways he communicated that same, you know, essence, whatever, to other people there at station. Because while a lot of us were there focused, a lot of people were, you could already tell that there were some ladder climbers showing up in the early days and that wanted to do everything just the way we used to do it in headquarters and not the way things would be done, in a wartime situation, in a very fluid situation. And Billy reminded me that, above all, mission accomplishment, adhering, I mean, find out what your left and right limits are, what the end goal is, what the desired end state, to use the military term, is, and move out and accomplish it. As long as you didn't, break any rules or break any hearts, you'd go for it.
So to maybe dive a little more into Billy, and that book is fantastic. I was just telling Mr. Prado when I first read that, I think I read it the summer before I started the podcast, so like summer 2019. I thought Billy Waugh I thought it was a fake character. I thought he was like, because sometimes authors will amalgamate like 10 people so that to cover the
Right.
identity, right? They can tell a story about a bunch of Delta operators, but they'll make them a woman or something. It's just so to protect anonymity. I genuinely thought Billy Waugh was just a made up fucking character
Oh no.
because I was
Billy
like,
Billy was it was very true.
I thought she spelled Waugh like W-A. I'm like, that's a fake name. Waugh. That's bad writing. And then I actually looked at because I was listening to the audiobook and I was like, oh, Waugh. And I looked at I was like, oh, holy shit. This is
Yeah.
a real guy. Um, and so you go into that, and so talking to you, talking to Prado or Dale or Ted Eye or Baz or all these guys that knew him, and it's all kind of this, it's similar stories. It's just the larger than life, but humble as the day is long. At a certain point, you have to go back to the source. So you're looking at a stream, and it's like, well, where'd the stream? Well, that came from the brook upstream. Where's the brook? The brook's from the pool. Where's the pool? That's from the waterfall, and that's from the. Eventually, you have to go back to the spring, right? So everyone's looking up at him, and he
Hmm.
believed in the mission. He's makes you feel part of the team. Never give up. Never satisfy. Never take no for an answer. Never back down. But once you get to him, you got to go, well, where does that come from? And
Yeah.
what did he tap into that maybe we haven't tapped into, right? We're all looking at, there's like a meme, and it's the guy some guy that lost to Michael Phelps in the Olympics, and it's like a foot before the whatever finish line, and they're swimming, and you see the guy's head, he's taking a breath, and he's looking at Phelps, and Phelps is looking dead ahead, and it says the guys that come in second place look at the guys in first place, and the guys that come in first place are looking at the finish line. They don't give a shit.
Hmm.
I guess what I'm trying to like pull apart surgically is what did he see? Because it doesn't seem like he was looking up to anyone. Not to say that he's like arrogant or something. It seems like he was tapped more into a truth. He was resolute. Tommy respects the laws of gravity. If you ask me why, I'd be like, jump off a ladder. Tell me how it works out. Like gravity's real. It seems like he tapped into some
Well,
sort of
look
more
look at his
concrete.
upbringing. I mean,
Sure.
and the era when he grew up,
Yeah.
depression, the beginnings of World War II,
Korea.
and
Yeah.
the strong sense of nation, of patriotism, of country above self, and of duty, and he carried that with him throughout, and that that's Rick was talking about, you know the two percenters, and then the 1% of the 2%ers, and things like that, of the people that are, in the military, and then in the soft world. And it's and those are the people that I think for the most part really believe. I mean, I'm not going to say every one of the 2%ers in today's military is a raging patriot, because I think Lloyd Austin would have probably kicked most of those people out already by now. Sorry,
Okay.
editorializing here.
No, no, no. Fuck that guy. Fuck that
Yeah,
communist.
well, no. And so yeah, I think he grew up in that era, and he had that sergeant major sense, that he could detect similar vibes from like-minded people, like motivated people, that and he and those kind of people always surround themselves with those people, and together they make, I mean, the sum is greater than the parts.
Hmm.
And it's, I mean, it's And that's the kind of thing that Billy and it was one of those things that we kind of all sort of knew, because we all were like, hey, we're SOG, we're special ops group, we're cool, whether we're ground branch or air branch or maritime or whatever, you know. But we knew we were the elite of the best, or whatever. I mean, that was the headquarters mentality. But in the field, we realized we all had to work together
Mhm.
and try to make everybody, form a team, a cohesive team to get done what needed to get done. And so it was. And Billy reminded us of that, and said, so a lot, some, um, how what's a good war story I can tell about that? So we had a gentleman there. He'd been a former Navy intel guy, and he claimed he had been a Navy intel guy in a SEAL team. But the way he said it, it sort of inferred that he was a SEAL, but he wasn't. Okay, I mean, okay, and he ran a special program, and some of the things he did in that special program are like, I remember one conversation we had in the bullpen one day. I wasn't in the conversation, but I could hear it. One of the wiser people there said, "You better be careful, because someday you're going to have to testify in front of Congress on what you're doing here, and that's not going to go over too well." And then another person said, "Either that, or you're going to be the one they're going to throw under the bus."
Mm.
So, and these guys were speaking from experience because they'd been around, a day and a week in the agency, and the agency is always, the famous, a football for political expedience, and then the agency looks around for its scapegoat type of thing. Well, he poo-pooed all that, and that was and then I remembered, Billy's talking. I go, okay, this is the guy who really doesn't want to listen. He doesn't want to take input, guidance, constructive criticism, however you want to put it. And he's somebody probably to avoid. And because when he tried to tell me one day how to do one of my jobs, and I just kind of looked at him and I said, "Thank you for your interest in national defense, and I got this, and I'll do it the way I'm going to do it, and because my name's on the bottom line." So and
Yeah.
he started raising a ruckus and throwing a little temper tantrum in the bullpen, and we're all like looking at him like, "Dude, shut the F up.
Yeah,
Get out of here."
fuck this guy.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, he could run to the chief of station and go, "They're being mean to me," and because he was the special program guy, they, he had to be protected and had to be stroked and what. Anyways, so um, I ran into him a couple years later at a different station, and I guess he'd been taken down a few pegs. He wasn't quite so cock of the walk anymore, but I still, the character, his initial character hadn't really changed. He was still, what's in it for me? How can I get ahead? Whose shoulders do I need to step on to, take my career to the next level type of thing. So yeah, whatever. But again, I'm reminded, Billy Billy taught me, a lot about humility and, just do the job, and your reputation will take care of itself, and for better for worse. So,
Mm.
and yeah, I'll just do a humble brag for a minute. I was on another podcast with a gentleman who's was a former non-official cover officer years ago, but he and I have mutual acquaintances in the agency, now retired, of course, but and I read the guy's short bio, and I'm like, damn, being a knock is I think one of the hardest jobs, because you have to live really two separate lives. You have to live your commercial cover life, and then you have to remember that you're also an intelligence collector, and it's really tough. And I mean, tradecraft has to be beyond reproach. Um, but anyways, I introduced myself and complimented him and told him what an honor. He says, "Oh, I was talking to so and so about you," and I go, "Oh shit!" The inside, you just feel your insides going, "Oh, you got here it comes." Yeah, exactly. Like, "Oh, I'm gonna crumple." He says you're the real deal. I go, "Oh man, that from this guy, that was high praise." I'm like, "Shit." I guess I didn't fuck up too much, and maybe he never did find out the mistake. No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding. But
Yeah. Yeah.
but I'm like, damn. So again, I go back to what Billy said. Do your job, just do it well, and don't pound your chest, and it'll all take care of itself. And you see that in the history of Billy's legacy, and of all the things he did, and everybody talking about what he accomplished. And he didn't do it for personal recognition. He did it because he believed in the mission. He believed in the people he was working with and for, and he did it very well. So I couldn't think of a better way to be remembered for a life well lived than that. My
I guess
rant.
no, no, it's beautiful. No, it's I I have a there's always a very scary reaction when people go, "Oh, dude, I watch your podcast." I'm always like, I mean, I always joke, but like, I always kind of like take a step back, and you know, some people are like, "I fucking love it, man." I'm like, "Oh, cool." Some people are like, "The amount of hate speech." I'm like, "All right, get it out." Like,
Oh
that's
God.
that's always an experience when someone within physical proximity, if somebody messages me about my whatever, but when I'm in like a room and someone's like, "I watch your show," I'm like, "Oh Jesus, God in heaven!" Like, where's the exit? Like, holy shit. Um, but I guess I'm kind of hung up on in a good way what his, I guess, personal mentality was, because you have to celebrate the heroes, you have to celebrate the legends, but and this doesn't apply to him, but in general, you don't want to fill up too much of your present time with nostalgia. So like what I mean by that is you don't whatever a band, you don't want them playing the greatest hits all the time. It's fine every once in a while, but you want them to still be producing, right? You don't want Tom Brady talking about what he did. You're like, that's all well and good, but we're paying you $40 million to win again. Looking at a hero or a legend, like you have to do that. But I'm more focused on like I want to tap into what he saw and felt. Not necessarily I'll never do what he did. No one's questioning that. But in terms of like living your everyday life in things you do, there's an unshakable, I wouldn't even say faith, because that still implies some sort of leap of faith. It seems like he tapped into something as certain as the sun is rising, that he just
Hmm.
knew that this is what we do. And like, what do you mean? Why am I going when I'm 73? My legs still work. Of course I'm going.
Yeah.
That is whenever I find like a new song or something, like I try to listen to an old song, you're like, oh, I remember that. I remember listening to that the first day of college. That always brings me back to August 2009. And so whenever it's something new in my life happens, like a couple months ago, I moved back up to New England to be closer to family, and I found like a couple new songs. I'm like, I'm gonna listen to these on repeat and make like a new memory. This is my new, and so instead of going back and living in yesteryear, it's I want new memories now, and it kind of keeps the richness of life flowing. And I guess I want to tap into what he felt and to live in that and kind of move from there, like create the legends. Now, does that make sense? Am I putting this correctly into words? It's very hard to
Well,
materialize what I'm trying to say.
I think I understand. I
Okay.
mean, I think I can summarize it in two bullet points here. One, Billy had an unshakable faith in America,
Okay.
and the and all the red, white, and blue patriotism, Star Spangled Banner, but he had an unshakable faith in that America. That was the America he grew up in. That's why he wanted to fight for. He wanted to defend her, and he wanted to do his part. Um, and the other thing is I guess the second bullet point was I guess what you're trying to tap into is sort of what at the end of the Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, the uh, the newspaper publisher burns the notes of his reporter that Jimmy of what Jimmy Stewart had been talking about, and something about when the fact becomes legend, print the legend. So
Hmm.
you know, so if you, I'm sorry, I'm an old movie buff,
No,
or either that or I'm just an old guy, one of the two, or maybe both.
maybe.
Um, maybe, but no, I think Billy just he had that unshakable faith in America. He didn't care about career. He didn't care about promotions or awards or recognitions or anything. He cared about America. He cared about the people he served with, and he wanted to do the mission. And that was always his point. And if he heard the sound of guns, he was like looking for the quickest way to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, so I mean,
Yeah.
it's just I was, I mean, I was rereading the passage where he's in a beach chair outside of Cofer Black's office down in the
Yeah.
old,
Right after
and
9/11.
yeah, I thought that was hilarious. I mean, and I mean, Cofer Black was, I mean, he made me feel small. That dude just he had a presence about him, and I still remember one day I'm sitting in my office and my boss says, hey, go to so and so place in Dulles and go pick up Cofer Black. He'd flown in on a private jet from somewhere or something,
Yeah.
whatever, not important. And I'm going like, oh shit, does he have luggage? Well, I think he's just got a hand, like carry on. I'm going, shit. And Cofer's a big guy. And that day is the day I'd driven my 911 to work. So I'm like, yeah, it's going to be a tight fit. So I zoom my ass over to Dulles from Langley and walk into the FBO, and there's Cofer. And I go, I mean, I knew who he was. I says, hi, Mr. Black. I'm Ron. So and so sent me to come grab you back to HQ. You got all your papers so I can get you onto the compound. He goes, of course I do. I go, well, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
some people when they go on trips, they just keep it at home or whatever. So he says, I parked right out in front, and he goes, oh wow, nice car. Says, you sure you're gonna fit? He says, hell yeah, let's go. And so we're driving down the toll road, and he's like, can't you go any faster?
Yeah. Let's see what this thing can do.
I'm like, sure thing, boss. Whatever. I'll
Yeah.
just tell the Virginia State Trooper, hey, no sweat here. We're on our way to see the president.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we just had a general conversation. Nothing intense. I mean, my Porsche wasn't classified as a portable skiff, in that day, so. But it was cool. It was
Yeah.
just. But you could Kofor also had that same thing. He was um had a certain how do you put this? He he could see beyond all the crap that was in front of him. He could see the end goal,
Gotcha.
and he wanted to accomplish the mission. He knew what the mission was to, find and fix and kill Al Qaeda, and that was the mission. And of course, everybody's buzzing around, the president and Tenet and him and other people, wringing their hands, doing this, doing that, and so yeah, it was. I do remember one thing that Kofer said to me, because I'd remember I'd been waiting to do something in CTC, coordinate something or other, and John Brennan walked in. Now Brennan, he wasn't the director then. He was on the national security staff, and he was some counterterrorist advisor dude, whatever. And he'd showed up. He'd just been back from his stint in Riyadh as the chief or something like that. So, but he walked in, and it's almost like you could hear the Darth Vader death march, you know, type thing. I mean, people just sort of scurried. It was like, the light got sucked out of the atmosphere. It was,
Get colder in the room.
but yeah, and I commented, I says, boy, I said, we're just driving along. I'm like, well, shit, you're not in my food chain, but and I'm driving the car. So I says, so I mean, so the other day I saw Mr. Brennan walking in, and Kofer let go with a few choice words that you know you know and I says, yeah. I says, well, I got to tell you, I mean, that you could feel a chill in the air. He says, son, you take my word. You avoid that man. Yes, sir. Got it. No
Oh
problem.
wow.
Oh yeah. I mean, Kofer was a good judge of character. So
Yeah.
I mean, I had a lot of respect for him, and the way he did that, and like I said, Billy and him and others, and like Rick that you had on just now, you know, we all we all eventually found each other. We didn't know each other at the time, and I think, the crisis of 9/11 and post 9/11 made it so that those sorts of people showed themselves, and it's some sort of like weird magnetic thing, and
Oh, 100%.
we pulled together and we found each other and we accomplished the mission. So
Yeah.
that was, I always think that was and I always felt super honored. And sometimes I really had to, you know, look at the mirror and or like look at myself going, am I really doing this with these guys? I mean, I'm like, Jesus, these are the guys, you read about and you and things like that. And here I am just, shoulder to shoulder with these guys trying to do this stuff. And
Oh,
like,
yeah.
damn, it was humbling and awe-inspiring. And, you know, I was happy
Yeah, no,
and I was proud.
and yet, yeah, and you have to not fanboy. When you're talking about that, I mean,
No, well, I couldn't
I,
fanboy in the office. I mean,
no, no, they'd shoot you.
pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, no, I mean, yeah, no, I get that on here. When I'm meeting people, I'm like, all right, I'm like, play it cool, play it. But what you were working with them, it's even wilder when not only do you meet someone that like you look up to or you've researched a lot, like, before I ever had them on, like a Dr. McCullough or a Dr. Malone or some authors I have on or
right.
whatever, or like, I'd been a fan of like Joe Kent for, like a year before I got him on here. And then and like, that's one experience, right? When you have them on, you're like, that was so fucking cool. And
Hmm.
then it's like this other worldly thing entirely when you'll hear like Dr. McCullough and be like, and there's a great podcaster, Tommy, I go on his show all the time. And you're like, oh,
Oh
I
yeah.
work with, you're like, holy fuck. And it is,
Yeah.
no, it re-solidifies your belief in what you're doing.
Hmm.
You're like, this is the right thing to do. Like you immediately in that moment stop giving a shit. You see the bigger picture.
Right.
You're like, fuck everything else. Like this is the right thing to do.
Well, it is.
It pulls you by the gut in a way that nothing else can, right? That
Yeah.
there are the sparkling goals of like money or status, and those are all ethereal. Those are all, very surface level highs. They're here and they're gone. But there's something a little more, you feel it in your
Right.
bones
Yeah.
when you know you're doing the right thing.
When
Like,
people that you respect you in turn, is it's it gives you that feeling of like I'm doing the right thing.
well, it zaps you with energy too.
Yeah. Oh
You're
yeah.
fucking exhausted. You sit down. Dr. McCall, he comes on. He's like, "We're breaking this news right now." You don't even know you slept for 3 hours. You're right up, and all of a sudden it feels like you're on a gallon of coffee, and it's like maybe that's the thing to search for, is that sense of, back to Billy Waugh, that sense of like your feet are planted. You
Hmm.
don't feel like you're in an earthquake. You're not wishy washy. Should I do this? Should I do that? It's, I'm doing this, and I,
And it's hard because
yes,
once you find it, you realize it's not going to last forever.
yeah,
And so you maximize that opportunity, and then you go off to the next thing, and you always try to
recreate.
recreate, reassemble, whatever, and sometimes it comes close, and sometimes you find other folks, and you get there, but it's never quite the same high that it was in the past. I mean, so, I, I'm not saying that Billy was one of the probably the most biggest mountaintop experiences just from the interactions the we had, but it inspired me to, I guess, have other mountaintop experiences that were similar in altitude but different in execution and what we did. But
Well, it's back to the thing of what I was saying earlier about like listening to a song because it reignites a feeling you had, and it's definitely enjoyable. It's an enjoyable part of life, but you also want to create new things. And
hmm.
so it's like, I'll play video games with, some friends from the podcast. And every once in a while, everyone's there and like the mood is right and everyone's just laughing and like the jokes are great and it's fucking incredible. And then you'll try to get on the next night and get the same people there and try to get the same thing and it's not there. And you just
Hmm.
come to accept that they're organic. You stop trying to recreate the old ones. You cherish them for what they are. You watch the video and you're like, that was a fucking hilarious night. We were shit faced. But instead, you just kind of keep going. You keep showing up every day and doing the work. And not every time is going to be great. But you can also like recognizing a storm is coming, like the pressure drops, you start seeing the bottoms of the leaves. You can feel when something great's coming, and your instinct says like stick around, like this is it,
Hmm.
like this is the thing, and then you get lost in it and you enjoy it, and then now all of a sudden you've got this new memory, and I think that's maybe the wisdom I'm trying to like pry out of, because what you said, don't worry about your reputation, do the right thing, the reputation follows, right?
Hmm.
Focus on winning, everything else follows. Don't focus on the reputation, focus on doing the right thing, everything else follows. I think that's what I'm trying to get from Billy is he seemed to be so
He he was
resolute. Yeah.
he had focus,
Yeah.
and he I mean he walked into the room, and you know he I mean his confidence, his that aura, it was I mean some people just have that they just radiate confidence and command a room and command attention. So when Billy spoke, even if he said where's the coffee, everybody like it resonated type
American
of
Eagle
thing.
flies by. You just
Yeah, not quite that bad, but yeah, but
yeah.
still,
Yeah, no, I got you.
it was impressive,
I
and it was good, and I was honored to have met him, and that was a good thing.
I imagine the turning point in understanding, I guess, the entire concept of him would be like I remember being like a freshman in college and was taking like one biology class and was freaking out and was always stressed. And you're right. And then, you'd have a buddy or something a couple years older than you. You're like, dude, that guy's juggling like 9 different chemistry classes and studying for the MCAT, and he's still going to the football games and having fun. And you're like, that guy's a fucking titan. And then you just keep improving every semester. You get better at studying, about managing your time. You learn how to kind of forget the fluff, the bullshit. That's not going to be on the test. Just throw it out the window. It doesn't matter. And then it hits you one day when like you're a senior, like I was, and I was just acing every class, and you have a friend that's a couple years younger than you, and they're like, dude, I can't wait to like be like you. And all of a sudden you have that moment, you go, oh fuck, I'm the thing you're looking up to now. But you never had a moment where all of a sudden it clicked.
Hmm.
It's just all of a sudden your idol's no longer there. They've graduated, they've gone to medical school, and you're just going about your everyday life. You're still very self-critical. And then you have like friends that are like look up to you. And then all of a sudden you understand your idol. You go, oh, they never once saw themselves as something great. They were probably looking up to someone before them and
Hmm.
on. I wonder if that's maybe a turning point or an inflection point in understanding, is when someone looks up to you and you probably are thinking to yourself, like, why are they looking up to me? Like, I'm a fucking idiot. I wonder if that's probably part of it. If, Billy walks into a room and everyone looks at him and he's in his mind thinking, like, why do they look up to me?
No, I don't think Billy ever had that moment. I think Billy was the rarest of
Different
rare. He
animal. He was just fucking
different
one about the goal.
exactly. Yeah,
Wasn't
I
thinking
really
about shit. Just went for the jugular every time.
pretty much. Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's there's a satisfaction in always pursuing a goal. I When I'm pursuing a goal, there's nothing I want more in the world than to achieve it.
Hmm.
And there's nothing, and right below that is there's nothing I want more in the world than to not achieve it, because it will mean the hunt is over. There was no greater empty feeling than getting into medical school. I was like, now what? I vividly remember thinking, now what? Like I did the thing. It took 4 years to get here. I got the envelope. You're part of the 0.1% that got accepted. You're like, oh, cool. They're out the window. Like, what the fuck to do now? And, talking to Rick just an hour ago, you're saying Billy was going for it forever because it was win-win no matter what. The legend continues or he dies, and the legend
Hmm.
becomes the legend. I don't know, maybe because it's hard, right? It's hard to look at all the flaws in this country, and it's hard to have an unshakable faith in it. And maybe I need to, as Rick was saying, maybe I need to go serve 90 days in a hellhole to realize what this place is.
Hmm.
It's so easy to criticize everything going on and, make jokes. Oh yeah, you have neon blue hair and you think you're a woman or whatever the fuck. That maybe that's the real difficulty is looking at it, and even for all of its, birthmarks and defects, still loving it. I think that's maybe
Yeah.
the real mountain to climb is to love it no matter what.
Yeah. I remember every time I came back from a deployment, Afghanistan, Iraq, the Balkans, the Philippines. It was always nice when you came back to the United States, and you hand the customs dude your passport, and he says, welcome back home. And yeah, it was. I mean, 24 hours earlier, I was living in the middle of the fifth world shithole, and here I am, fighting beltway traffic, and like worrying that my bloomin' onion at the Outback is going to
Yeah.
be cold or something like that, whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was it was a remarkable good feeling. Even my trips to Western Europe, Germany, Norway, those sorts of places, for conferences and what all. You know, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, they got all the accoutrements. Yeah, they look like us. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's not the same. And and I think I heard Rick say that, he came over as a young
Hmm.
boy,
Yeah, 10.
so well, my parents came over from post-war Europe and met, married, and had me. And so, just like think in a way, Billy with the appreciation for the country that he was born and raised in, and Rick as well. I had that as well, because my parents, had seen the other side. They'd seen the utter devastation of Europe in the post World War II, and and they really appreciated everything, warts and all, that they had been provided, the opportunities they had been provided here in the United States. And so it was those sorts of things. It's not like a lesson, it's not like a homeschool lesson, but it's
Yeah.
something you just absorb through your pores. That was I think very important. And so yeah, so it's a sense of patriotism that, like Rick was saying, that a lot of, a great majority of the people in this country do not have. I mean, going to Cancun is not going to Mexico. Um, going to Jamaica is not going to the Caribbean. Because you know they. I mean, you've never really experienced going out of your comfort zone, and you know going someplace where you are the only white face, and you really feel, and I'm not making that as a racial thing, but just
No, yeah,
as you're the only Westerner type of thing. and
you're the
and
only Yankee.
yeah, and you're feeling really like, and you're looking and observing, and you're like looking at the utter poverty of people, you know um, lining up to go to the community water spigot
Yeah.
to get what they would classify as fresh water, which you and I would consider very polluted water.
Yeah, we'd
Um,
consider it not fit for the toilet.
exactly. Not non-potable at the politest term.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
would.
it yeah, it's it takes a mindset, and it takes a mind reset to understand that we've got it real good, and to appreciate that. And so when people are complaining about this, that, and the other thing, yeah, I got it, and I'm complaining about it too. But at the same time, you know, you can have all the blue hair you want and pink hair, and you can identify as a whatever you want to, and you can have as many LBD blah blah
Whatever the
whatever
fuck.
alphabet after your name. But just know that if if you want to come with me to any place in the Middle East, and you start spouting that shit, you're gonna you're gonna go to the rooftop gardens of the nearest tall building, and you're gonna fly.
You're gonna fly.
So
Best
knock it
case.
off.
Best case.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna
So
get, some sheik with a sword's gonna make your head fall off. And it's
so it's hilarious, but it's a lack of understanding and appreciation of that. And
but
but I
there
could
is
go on and on and on.
it's I obviously hold no water for it. I always shit on those it's psychopathic Marxists in my generation, but purely from like a philosophical observation, there is something beautiful about seeing a bunch of people with neon hair marching because they have a new pronoun. And it's beautiful in that this place is so safe, relatively. Obviously, everything's relative. We have moved so far in the advancement of society that that is a bone to pick. There is something, right? We joke about, the first world problems, but there's something beautiful about a first world problem. It's because I mean, I think about cramming podcasts together on a MacBook when I was 30 and still living above my parents' garage. And I'd do them, and then I'd have to offload it onto a USB drive because there wasn't enough memory, and so I could record the next one. And then I'd finish them all up and have to run to the liquor store. And to me, like now my problems are like, oh, the light isn't the right hue I want in my like custom in-home studio. And every once in a while I have to stop and be like, this has succeeded so far beyond. I bitch now because there's 4 digits in the number. I'm like, what is this 1196? And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like you've got to do 1100. Like I'm so lucky to be able to like talk to these people. And there is something beautiful. And that doesn't mean it's any less annoying. It doesn't mean you want to just kick them in the face and be like, I don't care if you identify as a fox. Like you're a fat woman. Get a job. Like as much as you want to kind of have those sort of guttural, there is something like, you know, if you're so rich, you're concerned whether or not your Bentley is plated in platinum or gold. Though petty, there's something badass about it because it's like you've come so far. There is something kind of, and again, I don't really believe this because I hate them all, but like there is something kind of beautiful about we have the luxury to be like, dude, that fucker put his pronouns in his Twitter. What's his Twitter? Oh, it's his social media profile. How'd you find that? Oh, on my phone. Oh, so on our touchscreen computers in our pocket where we can access the global brain at the speed of light, we're mad that he has his pronoun. Yeah, that means the food's taken care of. That means the electrical grid is up. That means there aren't, fucking warlords in the streets. Like there is something, I guess, kind of beautiful about that.
But just remember that first world problem or benefit that you just articulated is only is a veneer thin. I mean,
Mm. Oh yeah, no, sure. It's a it's
so
a
I
it's a
mean
fog that burns off in the morning light.
exactly the minute the power goes out, I mean,
I don't give a
forget
fuck what your
forget it.
pronoun is. You got guns or
Yeah,
not. Yeah.
pretty much. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
No, no, sure. No, yeah, no, no, 100%. Um, so I guess I try to look at that and, you know, I guess it makes me anything that makes me, I guess, increase the love for where I live. And it does help to look at it. It's that realization when you have, that your family's fucked up and then like the subsequent realization and you're like, and it's my fucked up family and I love it. It's
it's
kind
all
of like
right.
that. It's like all the disorder and chaos here, but it's also like, yeah, but this is also like this is my United States. Like the
Yeah.
only consistent thing across all of my podcasts is there's a flag. Like that's it. That's the only consistency. And it's because it's truly the thing outside of my family, it's the thing I love most in this life. And
Hmm.
I know no one else in my generation does. They all think it's fucking evil. They're retarded and they belong in the gulags. But again, that's another rant for another time. I think that's I think that's maybe what I'm trying
Right.
to find is that resolute love and belief in
It's
something
it's
bigger
still
than
out there, but a
myself.
lot of people are shy to express it because
It's not
the
cool.
it's not cool and
It's
you'll
not it.
get this. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I,
It's
I
it's
think
it's
I
fashionable to hate it and call it an imperialist, white supremacist, whatever.
yeah, yeah. Come to my VFW here in Deadwood, and you'll
Yeah.
you'll get yeah, exactly.
Get your
That'll
fucking
happen to you.
teeth kicked in.
Pretty close. Good thing the jail's right next door.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Well, it's it's an economy of force thing.
Yes,
So,
yes.
but I just want to also compliment you on this Billy Waugh series and
Oh, thank
some of
you.
the other oral history things you do. I think oral histories are exceedingly important because historians tend to you know, write stuff and it's okay, but they can't really get to the war stories. And I think oral histories, war stories, that sort of thing, no shit, there I was type of thing, or this is what we those are cool, and people learn a lot from them, and they're enjoyable, and it makes history livable and relatable.
Hmm.
And so my a hat tip to you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah,
Maybe
no,
I'll
it's
be able now to come get another podcast
yeah, you can.
appearance.
He kissed the ring. Take a lesson, future guests. This is how you do it. You wrap it up, inflate the ego a little bit, and that is you leave with the you leave the whatever the fuck
Yeah, I
the
paid the tithe.
yeah,
I
you
got
did.
it.
You kissed the ring. You welcome back, my lord. Like you will be brought back to the round table. But no, there is something that like because like even just from like the podcast standpoint in terms of like it is business and you have to you do have to get views. It's like sure it's important to cover like news, right? And that's because that's what everyone's watching, and you do have to. That's just what it is. But it's also very important to get interviews of people because there's nothing cooler than if you go back and find like some 4K AI upscaled interview with you can find them on YouTube. It'd be like this video was shot in 1904 of a man born in 1840, and
Oh,
it's some
geez.
guy. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen them, and it's like old guy. Oh, they're guys like sitting on like some porch in Alabama talking about their service in the Union Army or
Oh,
something.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, and they're all touched up and stuff to make it better, but it is for all intents and purposes is like they're artificially colored and stuff, and they get rid of the cracks. But really, you're looking at like a woman on a on a porch 15 years before World War I breaks out.
Excuse
And
me.
no, you're fine. And she's talking about her husband going away and whatever, fighting the Confederacy. And those little glimpses really do mean more than any history book you've read because you're just looking at this thing and you're like, that's it. That's the reality. And I think that is the
Uh,
importance of getting interviews with people is
yeah.
you can read a million fucking books or you can just go like, you know, that's why when I have a big guest on here, I'll do the introduction, then I'll be like, and now I'm gonna shut up. And
Well, that would be a change.
it would be. Don't now you're walking on thin ice. Now you're now
Yeah,
you're
that's okay. That's okay.
now you're taking back the now I'm
Yeah,
looking at
that's
the
okay.
ring. I don't see the kiss marks anymore. I don't.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. I see Ron's now maneuvering himself further, and now he's getting into the banter. He's turning into the court jester. He's actually getting closer to the throne. This is all very tactical. People will watch this for decades. Um, no, but no, but in all seriousness, it's like I don't know. I didn't get to meet him. I was going to, and he got really sick, and whatever. It wasn't in fate that I was going to meet him, but I've met several people that have met him, and it's like I literally do interviews for a living, and I'm interested in it.
Yeah.
Like just take all right, yeah, clear a day, find everyone you know, and just stack them all on top of each other, and then it's done, and then you don't have to do it anymore. But yeah, I think in conclusion, wrapping up is I wanna, and I guess I will forever be searching for that resolute love and belief that he had in this country. Because I mean, truly, I would love to work until the day I die. I would love to die at 93 and still be doing shit to the end. To me, that is bliss. I hate off days. I hate achieving something. By the time I've finished a goal, I'm like, yeah, what's the next thing? Move up, keep moving. And that's I don't know. What a fucking legend.
Hmm.
That's all I got.
Very much so.
Any closing thoughts? Any closing wisdom, Ron?
No, thank you so much for, considering me and
Sure.
my few short memories of Billy, but it's he was we walk among giants, and he was one of the largest ones around.
Yeah.
And we don't have many of those left.
Yeah. Yeah. And as Rick said when I was going to go meet him, it's like be on your best behavior because this man will still kill you.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I know you're not joking. I know I will just be another notch in the belt. Fuck that kid. I'll be his final confirmed kill. Um,
Yeah.
Ron, thank you for your time, sir. Guys, go follow Ron. Twitter's in the description. OGA Ron. Um, Yeah, and thank you so much. Obviously, so this all these episodes are standalone, and then what I'm also going to do is I'm just going to stitch them all together and put out one big episode. I've got a couple more, this week.
Okay.
I think the last one's Dale on Wednesday, and then I'm going to put them all together and have one big Waugh episode. So, Ron, thank you for your time, sir. And
Always welcome.
yep, and yeah, guys, go read about Billy Waugh, man. Go take 2 seconds and at least enlighten yourself of who he was, because he is an inspiring character. And yeah, that guy loved this place till his final breath, and I think that's something that unfortunately we are in desperate need of. But Ron, thank you, sir. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Till next time, brother.